Alright, I worked really hard on this, so apologies for the shaky camera, but here we go. Oh, wait, I'm one page too forward. Here we go. So, our league scoring system. How it works is more like fantasy football than most fantasy basketball works. Players score points based on box score stats like points, rebounds, assists. There are 10 active roster slots per day, point guard, shooting guard, extra guard, that sort of thing, utility slots. Points accrue over a week, highest total score between two teams wins. So you have players that average, something like 30, 35 points per game, fantasy points per game, that is. And that's how we're going to think of it for this. So, best players in the league. Giannis, who Jacob owns, 69 points per game, fantasy points per game. Nice. Luka, who Jacob owns, 66 points per game. LeBron, 65. So those are the best three players in the league. Great players, this is like the 17 to 20 range. Bradley Beal, 49 points per game. You see. So that's sort of how it works. So this is the important thing. We get to the waiver wire guys. This is like the top 50 to top 100 players in the league. You got Dennis Schroeder, 34, Jeremy Lamb, 37, Jalen, 35. That's what they've been averaging so far in the year. So, given that there are 10 roster slots and the goal is to accrue as many total points on average in a week, should you keep certain players or just use it as a waiver slot and pick up waiver guys every single day? So example A, Devin Booker. He's on my team. Averages 38 fantasy points per game. NBA players on average 3.4 games per week over the course of our 24-week fantasy season. So take 82 divided by 24, 3.4 games per week. So Devin Booker will give us on average 129 fantasy points per week. So again, this is all just on average. It's to come up with a strategy to use for the entire season to accrue the most fantasy points possible on average. It's like full Houston Rockets Daryl Morey. So, example B is a theoretical guy named Waiver Guy that exists in our league. We have no limit on how many adds and drops on the waiver per day or per week or per season or anything. There's no limits on adds or drops. So Waiver Guy is a theoretical guy, just the slot. So you can pick up a guy to play 7 games each week in that one slot. So we'll take a guy you could get any week just to get a points per week figure. Say Harrison Barnes, Dario Saric, Darrell Wright, Rudy Gay, all available on the waiver, all averaging 28 points per fantasy points per game. And those weren't even the top choices. I scrolled down like 15 players, so these are guys that are always going to be available for you, just to get a figure. So 28 times 7 games a week, 196 points per week. Devin Booker, 129. Waiver Guy, 196. So the theoretical slot gives you way more points in any given week than Devin Booker would, and he's a first option on a team, like a high draft pick. This is where it gets crazy. Damian Lillard, 56 fantasy points per game times 3.4 average games per week. He'll give you on average 196 fantasy points per week. So Waiver Guy, 196. Damian Lillard, 196. So Waiver Guy scores on average as much as Dame. He is the 10th best player in our league right now, on average. So here are some guys that Waiver Guy slot is also better than: James Harden, Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, Nikola Jokic, Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry. There were a bunch of others. So anyway, that's all I had. I think it's super fascinating because theoretically you should only keep 10 players. Like each team should only keep one guy, and then you should just use waiver slots for every other slot because on average it's going to get you more points than keeping a player would. So it's kind of crazy. I think if one team committed to it, and I'm thinking about doing it, for like 5 slots on the roster instead of keeping some guys, I think I would average more points per week than anybody else in the league, so I'd have the best record. The issue is going to come in the playoffs when the best players win and there's a lot less adding and dropping going on. So anyway, there's a lot more to it, but let me know what you think. I worked really hard on it. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.